Our next zipper pocket would be an inseam zipper pocket. It's a lapped zipper, so we have like a little stitching coming out. I have two pieces. There'll be inner seam on a jacket, for example, two pieces. One has 2.5 centimeters seam allowance and one is 1.2. I've prepared this earlier with the notches where the zipper goes. That's where my zipper sits from the teeth to teeth end, and I've marked my seam allowance. I've also put some fusing tape on both sides. Very important that you fuse the part where the zipper gets attached to. I've pinned the seam allowance, and because they're two different seam allowances, we need a little bit of an extension for the lapped side of the zipper. Needs a bit of preparation to pin it, so we're starting to stitch up the top. From the top, 1.2, coming down to the notch, which is down here. So we're going to stitch. Back tack on this end, take the pin out of the thread, leave this as opening, and then we're going to do the same down here. Back tack. If you wish, you can mark your seam allowance with chalk. It helps. So we have this opening here. Actually goes this way with the wider part going in, and this is the opening for the inseam zipper lap pocket. So this is the opening, and on the shorter seam allowance we're going to fold the seam allowance along the overlocking, so using less than 1.2. You can see this is my 1.2 here, this is less than 1.2. You can pin it or press it. Sometimes easier if you press. And it's only in the part where the zipper gets attached. This is for the zipper teeth to sit a bit further back than the opening, and we line that end part of the zipper up with the opening, as you can see here, and I'm going to pin it. You need to open this slightly. And then we're going to stitch. You can stitch the seam allowance onto the teeth, next to the teeth or the tape, quite closely. When you come up the top, you probably want to just lift the foot and push this down. Gives you more room. And that's one side attached. And we can close the zipper. This is what it looks like from the outside. And we're now going to fold this over and pin this down. So I have attached that one side. We're just going to press the seam allowance quickly, give it a bit more stability when we sew. You can see that here. Once again, suction, very important. This is what it looks from the outside. And now we're going to attach the tape onto this side and then going to stitch on the outside. So I've just folded. You can pin this from the outside, might be easiest for you. You can see how the tape just naturally falls onto that seam allowance. Just for your own, having it a little bit easier, we're just pinning this down and then we're going to stitch this side onto the tape, anywhere on the tape, just so it's secure, it doesn't move. So we're stitching the tape onto the longer seam allowance. So when we open this, and go in there. So we still have to top stitch on the outside here. So what we're going to do, we'll close that. So we've attached this tape onto the longer seam allowance here. We're also going to attach the pocket bag onto the same spot. So line it up, pin it. Pocket bag is a little bit bigger than your actual pocket opening. So attached it onto, oops, here. I'm going to press this. In my case, I've got sharp fingernails. That's for calico only, sample only. If you're doing a proper bag, you need to press this first. And then we're going to open the zipper, turn this over, and we're going to top stitch the lap. And you can mark that yourself where you want it, how wide you want it. You definitely want to go past the teeth, so coming out here and then stitching down and crossing back over there again. So we're going to stitch here on the opening, back tack, and I'm going to stitch along here. You can see if the fabric's sort of twisting down slightly, you need to lift the foot and push the fabric back up. It also helps to pin, stabilizes the fabric. And we come to the bottom here, lift the foot. So we're at the end here, we'll just lift the foot and close the zipper and continue sewing to the opening point. And then pivot and stitch across. You can go slow down the bottom there because you might not know how fast this goes. Back tack, and you have the lapped zipper stitched like that. So what we're going to do now is closing off the pocket bag by attaching the other side onto this end. You can pin this down. Need to move this up a bit so it lines up. And I'm going to change the zipper foot. Turn off the machine. Bring it back on. Go as close as you can along here without catching the outer fabric. Tuck. Let's turn it over. And now we have to close this bag this way. You can still use your zipper foot. It doesn't have to connect up here because you won't be able to get your finger through there. But it needs to be stitched across here. Back tack. And then we're going to stitch this end as well, making sure it all lines up. This is just the pocket bag, closing the pocket bag. And we can open this pocket now, and I have my hand in there and a hidden zipper, so you can make this wider. If you can create your seam allowance coming out this way, so you can stitch this wider. It's totally up to you. Give it a good press, and this is your lapped zipper pocket. This is another version of a lapped zipper, but it's not a pocket, it's actually an opening. So you could do that as well on a garment, an opening as a lapped zipper. So same method as the lapped zipper pocket.